Well, Mick Palmer is a former Commissioner of the Australian Federal Police and someone with 33 years' experience in policing and in trying to tackle the drugs problem. Mick Palmer, what's led you to this shift in your position as to what Australia needs to do?
It's been a long journey, James, quite frankly. I mean, I'm a traditional police officer, 33 years' experience, as you say, although that's some years ago now. And I was a strong advocate for, tough on drugs, if you like, as it tends to be called, policy. But the further I went with my career, the more I saw, the more I realised it didn't work. What we have now is clearly absolutely broken. It doesn't make any effect or very minimal effect on the streets. We need to think about and need to be prepared to consider other options. And I just think the environment worldwide, not only within Australia, is screaming out for a genuine debate and the political courage, if you like, to engage in a genuine debate.
Is there any particular experience or example that you thought, hang on, this is just not working?
There's a lot, really. I had 5 years out of policing and practiced at the private bar for a little while on the Gold Coast. I appeared for young men and women who were arrested for use and possession of cannabis in the main, or ecstasy and similar drugs. I saw them in some cases get convictions that were going to interfere with their job prospects, interfere with their capacity to get visas to countries like the United States. These were people who had no other convictions, no other brush with law at all. That didn't make a great deal of sense to me. The nature of policing is that we are more successful in dealing with the blue-collar workers than we are with the sophisticated traffickers. Police have got really very effective at dealing with drug traffickers now, and I don't suggest for a moment that should cease. But I think to continue to criminalise low-level use and possession is really to do our young people a disservice, to cause them not to be able to share their problems with their parents and their family, to hide things they should be openly discussing and dealing with in a health and medical way rather than a hidden, anti-criminal way. So the whole range of reasons. I mean, we haven't dried up supply on the streets at all. I don't know any young people who have any difficulty in getting access to cannabis, ecstasy, or much heavier drugs, heroin, cocaine for that matter.
Isn't it still the case, though, that the chemical composition of illicit drugs, like cannabis, like ecstasy, do still cause harm? That does need to have a message from society that it's not a good idea?
Oh, I think that's right. I mean, I don't think, not for a moment am I saying we should condone drug use. I just think there are better ways to deal with it, as with smoking and alcohol and other things, than to criminalise its behaviour in terms of use and possession of it. I think we do need to get much more involved in education. I think we still need to be very strong in terms of how we give people good reasons as to why they shouldn't participate in the use of drugs. But young people, as you know, stretch the boundaries wherever they are. I think that's a reality we need to be prepared to accept. They're difficult issues to deal with, but criminalising them is not the answer. Regulation would do much more to guarantee the purity and the quality of the drugs than what the illegal market will ever do.
How then should policing efforts be redirected if essentially the war on drugs, as it's often called, is not working? Then you say that we're still being effective in targeting traffickers, but is there a point then if you're not going to have drugs to traffic?
I think it'll be first of all, we need to have a genuine debate about what are the options. If we were to change what we now have, what would it be? I think people are frightened of that discussion, and I think there may be some good reasons for that, some of which are political. So it's a debate. Then on the back of that debate, you would only obviously gradually phase in any changes. You'd have to test them. The community would expect us to test and graduate any legalisation or decriminalisation of presently illicit drugs. In the meantime, you just redirect the focus of policing. Policing is more effective now than it's ever been, I think it's fair to say, in sophisticated investigation of drug trafficking. But to say we're effective as a whole, I think is not correct. Otherwise, you wouldn't be having the quantity of drugs on the street that we still see.
Do you think that fear, you say that people fear a discussion, a debate, what do you think that fear is based on? A lack of alternatives or a lack of understanding of the alternatives?
I think a lack of understanding of the alternatives. I mean, I have a lack of understanding of the alternatives. There are people in this debate who have much more knowledge and understanding of what the options are and how likely they are to be successful than I do. I just know that what we've got is broken and that we should move to have a strong debate and discussion about it, to look at options to improve it. But I think it is fear by parents of what it might do, make drugs more freely available to my children. Political fear of the community backlash if they were to show any attraction to discussing this issue and legalising or decriminalising illicit drugs.
Mick Palmer, thank you very much for your time. Greatly appreciated, and look forward to seeing where this debate heads.
Thank you, James. Me too.